Alright, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, Back Monkey back again, bringing you another video of Singles Bojingles. So I mentioned earlier that we have picked up singles from about 3 different sellers that I have been putting together over the last 3 weeks. So hopefully we can show you some of those nice cards that I picked out. A couple of them are stuff that I'm going to use to upgrade my commander decks or to build new ones. The others are really, some of the more offbeat cards which I will be using to just add to the collection. Because in the case in the future, there are some situations where those cards may just pop out and become pretty cool. So, okay, let's get started, right? Let's do this. Let's open this pack first. See if I can open. Okay, there we go. So these are just repacks of singles that the seller had put together for us. Okay, so I think there would be some chaff here. Okay, so let's just take out this chaff first. Put this away. Maybe this would be chaff as well. Okay. Oh, no, not chaff. Okay, so here we go. We have Radiant Epicure, which is an uncommon. Skyreach Manta. Okay, I've not seen this card. It's a artifact creature fish. 5 to cast, 0/0 with Sunburst. Enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter after each color of mana spent to cast it, flying. Okay, and then we have a Grassland Crusader. Okay, not very useful at all, but okay, here we go. So first we have a Crowson Restorer. 3 to cast Druid, tap it, untap target land. Now it has Threshold, and when you tap it, you can untap up to 3 lands. So Threshold, play this ability only if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard. Ooh, nice. So I think this is a interesting pickup. Maybe I can use this for one of my decks. I think the Obun deck would work well with this. Next we have Satan's Desire. So it's an aura. I don't know what this symbol is. Enchant creature gets +2/+2, and it has Threshold. All creatures able to block enchant creature do so. So again, if you have 7 or more cards in the graveyard, then your opponents are forced to block your creature. So this would go well in my Thronebreaker of Silence deck. Okay, next up we have a Necrotic Sliver. Okay. And then we have a Scrap Mastery. This is a 5 to cast sorcery. Each player exiles all artifact cards from their graveyard and sacrifices all artifacts they control, and puts all cards they exile this way onto the battlefield. So it's like Living Death for artifacts. Okay. Okay. Next up we have Planebound Accomplice. So from Modern Horizons 1, 3 to cast Human Wizard with PT-13. So it says, pay red, you may put a Planeswalker card from your hand on the battlefield, sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. Okay. Next up we have Zada Hedron Grinder. So this is a 3 to cast Goblin Ally with power toughness 3/3, and reads, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, targets only Zada Hedron Grinder. Copy that spell for each other creature you control that spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. So this is a way to really have things get out of hand. I know that there are some I think some combos that go on with Zada. Haven't had a chance to go through it yet, but definitely an interesting card to study and see how either you can slot it into 99 or build this as your mono red commander. Okay, next up we have a Root Sliver, again on the sliver theme there. So Root Sliver can't be countered, and Sliver spells can't be countered. Right. Next up, we have a Mayhem Devil. So it's a nice pinger. Next up, we have an Eldrazi Mimic. So this is an Eldrazi, only 2 to cast, very small, and power toughness 2/1. And reads, whenever another colorless creature enters battlefield under your control, you may change Eldrazi Mimic's base power toughness to that creature's power toughness until end of turn. So there you go. You'll be able to leverage the power and toughness of its what do you call this? Its allies when they get to the battlefield. So next up we have a land. This is called Sanctum of Ugin. So you can tap it to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. And it says whenever you cast a colorless spell with converted mana cost 7 or greater, you may sacrifice Sanctum of Ugin. If you do, search your library for a colorless creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So not only does this give me colorless mana, but it also allows me to tutor up a creature card into your hand. So I think this would find some use in the Eldrazi deck that I had put together, I mean the pre-con. And then next up we have Cultivator of Blades, a 5 to cast Elf Artificer with 1/1 power and toughness with Fabricate 2. So when this creature enters the battlefield, put 2 1/1 counters on it or create 2 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature tokens. And it says whenever Cultivator of Blades attacks, you may have other attack creatures get +X, where X is Cultivator of Blades power. So nice buff there for your creatures. Then we have our first mythic, which is Deploy the Gatewatch. 6 to cast sorcery, look at the top 7 cards of the library, put up to 2 planeswalker cards from among them onto the battlefield, put the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. Okay, cool. So let's get that, put that over here, the first mythic. Next up we have Phyrexian Rebirth. 6 to cast sorcery, which is basically a board wipe, and then you create XX colorless treasure tokens where X is number of creatures destroyed this way. So that can get nasty pretty quickly. Okay, second to last we have a so-called Crab Umbra. So it's an enchantment with to cast 1 to cast, and you can pay 3 untapped enchanted creature, and it also has totem armor. Okay, so so this doesn't stop you from untapping your creature during your upkeep or immediately after upkeep. So yeah, this could actually be quite serviceable, and you can have multiple activations possibly. And last but not least, we have Shine Chaser. Yeah, Shine Chaser. 3 to cast Azorius. It's a 1/1 fairy. Flying Vigilance. Shine Chaser gets 1/1 as long as you control an artifact, and another 1/1 as long as you control an enchantment. Okay, coolness. So well, let's get to the next pack. So I think we got some pretty good singles there. Several of them I've not seen before, so good for me to be able to bring this into the collection. Okay, so let's get through the chat again. Shambling Shell. This is it is a list card. It's 3 to cast Plant Zombie. Next we have Winding Way. So it's a ramp from MH1, and Supreme Will, which is a counter spell and allows you to get some card advantage. Okay, here we go. We have a Blossoming Turtle. So this is a mythic from the Wilds of Eldraine set. 4 to cast turtle with power toughness 3/3, and reads whenever Blossoming Tortoise enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 3 cards, then return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Activated abilities of lands you control cost 1 less to activate. Land creatures you control get 1/1. So this has a lot of text in it, a lot of benefits, and it's only 4 to cast, so this is actually a pretty good card. It's going up in price too. So let's put that over here under the mythic pile. Next up we have Cemetery Tampering. So it's a 3 cast enchantment with Hideaway 5, but what I'm more interested in is the ability. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill 3 cards. If there are 20 or more cards in your graveyard, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So yeah, pretty interesting. Next up we have Shelter. It's a 2 to cast white instant. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice and turn draw card. So it's actually a cantrip. Okay, and then we have another Shelter, and we have a poison counter here. So what would this be? Alright, we have Vishgrath, the Doom Hive. 5 to cast Phyrexian instant with Menache and Toxic 1. Has power toughness 3/3, by the way. When Vishgrath, the Doom Hive, enters the battlefield, create 3 1/1 colorless Phyrexian might artifact creature tokens with Toxic One, and this creature can't be blocked, so I think this is the guy. Okay, thank you for the token. Okay, next up we have Sigarda, Font of Blessings. Yeah, pretty good card. Came from the March of Machine, what do you call this? Aftermath expansion. Okay, and then we have a Phalagi Wayfarer, 3 to cast Human Scout. Phalagi Wayfarer as all colors. This ability doesn't affect its color identity, and it says multicolored spells you cast have Convoke. Definitely an auto include into my Aragorn, the Unifier deck. Pretty good copy or card for that. And then here we go. Okay, next up we have Elivir of the Wild Court. So this is from the Commander precons, and reads whenever Elivir of the Wild Court enters the battlefield or attacks, which by the way she's a 4/4 and 4 to cast, create a Virtuous Roll token attached to another target creature you control. Whenever an enchanted creature you control deals combat damage to the player, draw a card. So good way to draw cards there. It's a mythic, so I'll put that over here. Next up we have in Imodane the Pyrohammer. So this is pretty interesting. It's a 4 to cast Human Knight with power toughness 4/4. But it does read that whenever an instant or sorcery spell you control targets only a single creature deals damage. Targets only a single creature deals damage to that creature. Imodane deals that much damage to each opponent. So it's a way for you to splash that damage through with different targets, right? So let me just pull this out. It's a foil version too. So I'll put that here. Okay, last few cards. Here we go. We have Megrim. It's a 3 to cast enchantment. Whenever an opponent discards a card, Megrim deals 2 damage to him or her. Okay, nothing to write home about there. And then we have Uma's Blackguard. So it's a 2 to cast Fairy Rogue with flying 1/1. Each other rogue creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it, and reads whenever a creature you control with 1/1 counter on it deals combat damage to the player, that player discards a card. Okay, that's pretty standard. Okay, so we have a human and a fairy token, so we now have Stolen by the Fae. Okay, there we go. So I think we did get a couple of pretty interesting hits. Not really there for the value, but to upgrade and update our commander decks. So Phalagi Wayfarer for sure will be used to update my Aragorn deck. But someone like Sigarda over here, and who is the other one? I forget now, but yeah, certainly these cards would be auto include in the decks that can support them. And we did get a couple of mythics over here, very interesting. We'll find a way to be able to deploy them too. And yeah, there's actually a couple of very interesting comments here that I'm quite happy to have picked up, like this Frozen Restorer, for example, and Seaton's Desire. So I'm hoping that I can get more of this stuff as time goes on. Speaking of which, I think our time is up. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Singles Boat Jingles, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.